Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Special video for all of you FEH fans out there. I don't know if you heard, but we have this little voting gauntlet thing coming up pretty soon. And some of you may still be on the fence about who you want to choose. So I've thrown together some information to kind of help you through these perilous times that we live in. But there's a couple things to maybe note just right off the bat. Number one, there will still be multipliers in this particular voting gauntlet. The individual unit score multiplier won't be a thing, but there will be streaks that will be happening. So there is a little bit of RNG still involved, unfortunately. I wish they would have eliminated that altogether, but they didn't. That's fine. Number two, this is Hero Rises. However, unlike the previous Hero Rises, this will not be a Xenolog reward, unfortunately, which means there is a slim distribution period where we're going to be able to get this particular winning unit given to us. So, that said, I can't see a lot of free-to-play guides using this unit, whoever it may be that we get, and in my mind, that kind of takes a lot out of the equation in deciding who you're going to choose. Because when it comes to a free unit that we get to choose on, like Legendary Ike, for example, was a Xenolog that you can still get him today if you start up account, today. That's not the case this time around, which means if it's not in a free-to-play guide, that means we don't need to look out for the betterment of the community as a whole. That being current players, future players, everybody, right? So what that means to me is it kind of comes down to fodder. Since it's not going to be necessarily a long-term option like Legendary Ike is, this is going to be a little more short-term and maybe like fill in a slot on your barracks type situation. That's where my head's at when thinking about this. So just to get that out of the way ahead of time. So with that said, I have put together some information for you regarding skills and their availability. And then at the very end, I'm going to rank which ones I think are maybe worth your time just on a general scale, not an individual scale, because obviously I don't know your barracks, I don't know your gameplay, I don't know what you like. But hopefully if you're thinking where my head is at, then maybe it'll help you out. So, who to choose 2020? Not a U.S. election thing, I promise. First of all, Altena, great. She is limited. She's a mythic, obviously, so she does show up recurringly, kind of like a seasonal unit does every year on their banner. However, she's only going to pop up every once in a while. So I was kind of generous with these particular class of units, the legendary mythic types. So 2 to 4 banners a year. So that's like once every 6 months or once every 3 months or somewhere in between there. Realistically, you're probably going to see her 3 times a year. But I wanted a slightly broader scale for these just because we never really know. I don't know. So she is Mythic Astra. That is going to be helpful in certain game modes. Some that give out divine codes. Just throwing that out there. So for that reason, she's definitely very worthwhile. The only thing I kind of caution in that sense is everyone's going to be getting Altena, theoretically, which means the bar for scoring for things like that will just be raised slightly until new players come in and level it off. So, is it beneficial on an individual level? Well, not really, because everybody's going to have access to that, and it's just going to raise the bar, basically. It's going to move the goalpost, sports terminology. She is a sword flyer. She's a very solid sword flyer. 166 BST, and she has an inheritable skill of Attack Defense Oath 3. Now you'll notice that I have a 0 in parentheses next to that. That means that there are no other normal pool options for Attack Defense Oath 3. There may be more And this goes for all skills that you're going to see in these slides. There may be more, but I only numbered the ones that were normal pool accessible, either through just normal 5-star or Grail or 3-4-star pool. Because I mean, if we're looking at rarity, they're all kind of about the same for the purpose of this video. So, with that said, she is unique. She's pretty unique. I know we have a lot of sword flyers, but her base kit and everything, she's pretty unique. And then the other thing to note on just all of these units, they are all extremely good at what they do, except for maybe one. And we'll get into that in a minute. And I don't really know that it's probably possible, but not necessarily very easy to replicate that. So I'm not going to be talking how they are individually. I'm just kind of giving a spread as far as what they look like on paper, like what they can inherit, how rare they are, how frequently they're going to appear. So what are your chances of getting them later, how useful they're going to be in terms of inheritance. New Year Alphonse, and we're going in order here, by the way. So Alphonse came in second in the overall. He is limited. He is a special duo hero. So the reason I have him limited at 1-? Is because we genuinely don't know what they're going to do with duo heroes. And we know that he'll come back every New Year's, in theory. He should anyway, like they always rerun the seasonal banners. I don't see them changing that. I don't know why they would. At least not anything that's, you know, book 3 or later. They may end up changing how they approach earlier year banners, but as for right now, they're definitely replaying these for the next 2 years or so, or however long the game lasts. I think it's anyway. So 1-? We don't know if he's going to make a reappearance, but we definitely know he will be back next January. It's a long time away. He's a blue tome infantry, 161 BST, very strong in what he does. So he's going to have close counter. There's one other unit in the normal pool that has that option. That's talking me. Good luck. And then Special Spiral 3, which there's 3 other units in the normal pool, and then Defense Res 03, which there are no other. So even though Special Spiral, you know, there's 3, you might think, oh, well, that's possible. In fact, Green is likely to be on the, Blazing Wind banner that's coming up at the end of the month. She has Special Spiral, for example. So those things do tend to pop up frequently, but Special Spiral is a very, very good skill. One of the best in the game, if I may put my opinion out there. So don't take that as like, oh, well, it's super common. Pass. In my opinion, I think Alphonse is a front runner, maybe even more so than Altena, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Anyway, so pretty rare. Duos are obviously, you know, we don't know what they're going to do with them, so a little bit hard to predict on that. Great skill inheritance, great unit overall, very, very good. Sothis came in third here. This is just the mythic Sothis. She is limited, so again, probably 2 to 4 banners a year, 4 at the high end, 2 at the low end, probably around 3. Realistically speaking, we have Mythic Dark, so again, like Altena, she is going to be useful, kind of, in certain game modes that require you to have a lot of Mythics. It's food for thought. Red Dragon Infantry is what she is, 173 BST, yikes. Attack Speed Solo 3, not necessarily super rare. We do have a fair amount of those that exist in the normal pool, 6. Wrath 3 is another one that we have a lot in the normal pool. And then Time's Pulse, which is a very good C skill, but none in the normal pool, unfortunately. So there you go. I have a +9 Sothis. I'm not at all disappointed with her. Why is she +9? She just kept showing up. Can't explain it. It just happens, and that's where we're at. So it actually allows me to do a lot with things like Mjolnir Strike. For example, right now, I think Shadow Season is happening right now as we speak. It is very helpful to have a Sothis. I don't know how effective that's going to be for a single Sothis, but you know, if that's where your head's at, then maybe consider give Sothis a shot. She's a very solid unit, pretty easy to build for the most part. Her base kit's pretty solid. And, you know, the A slot is very versatile for her, so that's a bonus. Leaf! Legendary Leaf specifically. Now, I don't really know what this guy looks like because he has yet to come home to my barracks. But we do know he is limited, so again, probably around 3 banners a year is when we're going to see him. Legendary, he is a water unit. He is a colorless bow cav, which I feel like can be supplemented for the most part. Colorless bow cav, like, I mean, Brave Lynn, for example, she could probably have a similar-ish build. They don't play the same because their stat line is different, but if you're just looking for a colorless bow cav, you know, they already exist for the most part. Same with most of the units that we've had already. However, at 156 BST and a base kit that is majoritively non-inheritable, he is a pretty unique unit, so for what that's worth, maybe think about that. Look at Master Bow and tell me how you feel about it. He does, however, have attack, res, push 4, which no one else in the normal pool has access to that, and then defense smoke 3, which we do have 3 in the current normal pool for access to that. But again, Leaf is pretty unique, as are the majority of these units. I honestly wouldn't mind getting a Leaf, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think he's a pretty solid unit, and you know, probably pretty fun and easy to build for the most part as well. Winter Sothis, a fan favorite. Definitely one of the higher BST units that we have in this this particular voting gauntlet. She is limited. We are going to see her 1 to 2 times a year, more than likely. I say 2 times a year because she may show up on a special banner. I don't really, like, for example, our current legendary banner has no special units in it whatsoever. It could have had special units in it. They did not put any in there. So I think what we're moving towards is a double special heroes banner every 2 to 3 months to kind of show us these guys. So more than likely we'll see her come back in December, and then once on a double special every year-ish, something like that, at least for the foreseeable future. So while she's not super limited, she is still reasonably limited. She is special, so she's obviously not in the normal pool. Green Dragon Armor is what we're at. Actually, a decent amount of those. Nagi and Grima come to mind right off the bat. 185 BST, that is pretty chunky. That's pretty chunky BST, my friends. She also packs Distant Counter, which there are 4 in the normal pool. We've got Special Fire 3, which 3 in the normal pool, and Threat and Attack Res, which is a slightly newer skill. Nobody has that yet in the normal pool. So, there you are. Again, really solid unit. I think most red swords don't really have too much of an issue with her, at least out of the box build wise. So keep that in mind. If you think you're going to go conquer the world with a single Winter Sothis, probably not. But she's not a bad unit to get. She's definitely on like the top half of my list for the most part. And again, really solid fodder potential as well if you're not looking to keep her and looking to pass on some skills. Anytime you can pick up a full 3-tier skill inheritance plus either like a distant counter or a close counter, like New Year Alphonse, for example, close counter and special spiral, that is a very good inheritance kit that you've got. Next up we have Asura. Legendary Asura, we know who she is. She is arguably one of the better singers in the game, but again, she's a singer. Her big shtick is that she allows 1 extra movement space, 1 extra unit movement space to, you know, flyers, infantries, when she sings for them. She is limited. She is so she's got the normal legendary mythic amount there, 2 to 4 years. She is slightly getting on the older side, however, not to quote a lady's age, but I think as we get more and more new legendary and mythic heroes, the older ones may start appearing less and less frequent. So she may be closer to the 2-ish side per year as we move forward here. Crom is a new legendary that we have who's also blue. So the pool keeps getting bigger. I think blue is actually the second largest in the Mythic Legendary pool, next to red. So take that for what it's worth. She's a legendary water, blue tome flyer singer, 139 BST, but she does come with B dual flying, so a single Asura is actually not too bad for you to have. She's going to have that skill that allows her to be pretty viable in most arena and other arena-based scoring situations. Aerobatics 3 and Attack Tactic 3. Those are semi-frequent. Attack Tactic definitely, like we know that's in the 4-star pool. However, Aerobatics a little more rare. Still available by 3 in the normal pool, but again, not everybody can learn Aerobatics, so pretty limited fodder in my opinion. She's got 3 skills that, you know, B-dual flying, for example, there's really only one type of unit that can use that. Aerobatics, really not many units can inherit that, and then Attack Tactic, which only benefits movements of 2 or less, so no cav benefit there. So again, while she's a good unit on her own, not the best outside of foddering potential. Alm, legendary Alm, solid unit. Love legendary Alm, like a lot. He's limited, so again, probably around 3-ish times a year is when we'll see him, like every other legendary mythic. Legendary Earth unit, Cutlass Bow Infantry. So he's got the 162 BST. And this is where he kind of differs. So if you're looking at a bow unit between maybe Alm and Leaf, Alm, in my opinion, is a little more versatile because he's got a lot more skills that are inheritable, and you know, infantry. He's an infantry unit. They get favored skills most of the time. So Darting Blow 4, which is a pretty premium skill. We've only got that on one other unit, and I believe it's Garrick, who is also on the next legendary banner. Null Follow-Up 3, which is a fantastic B slot skill. 3 of those in the normal pool. And then Odd Attack Wave. You can never really go wrong with a wave skill, usually. 3 of those in the normal pool. I don't believe any of them are in the 4. So still semi kind of hard to come across. Great unit, honestly. Like, I think he may in fact be secondary to New Year Alphonse in terms of who I think has the most fodder potential. But I have several manuals of legendary Alm. I just can't bring myself to fire him off because I never know like which skill I want to get rid of. It's a tragedy, but. Again, he's kind of got that thing where if you give somebody up to Darting Blow 3 from a different unit, which is pretty available, you can then pass off Darting Blow 4, and then either the full spread of Null Follow-Up and then Odd Attack Wave as well. So, pretty solid. Pretty solid in terms of fodder, great BST, fantastic unit all around. Oh boy. And then we have Abel Garden. Abel Garden is the wrong choice. I'm just gonna say it. So she is not limited. She is available in the normal pool. She is an Axe Infantry, and while she does tote pretty high attack and pretty high defense, I mean you can see the 168 BST there. That's nothing to shy at. I just strongly feel that there will be focus banners and things like that. Skills banners along those lines that will allow us to get more Edelgards, solo banners, for example, ruse banners, for example, maybe even a Luna banner, who knows? But she does have Luna, if that's interesting to you. That's available by 25 other units in the normal pool. Do not fodder Edelgard for Luna, that would just be insanity. She's got Attack Defense Solo 3, 2 of that in the normal pool. Dull Close 3, 2 of those in the normal pool, and then Ruse Attack Defense 3, again, 2 in the normal pool. It's also maybe worth noting that I don't necessarily think we'll be too far off from eventually getting some solo and or ruse skills as seals. So if you're thinking like, oh, well, even if we get a free Edelgard, like that's a free attack defense solo. I can maybe see them releasing a solo seal at some point this year. And honestly, like going back and looking at how limited some of these units are, like New Year Alphonse, we don't know if we'll see him outside of the annual January banner. I think I'd rather wait a year to get a seal, or longer, honestly, rather than just take a free Abel Garden. So there's going to be, like, Abel Garden is, out of all the units listed, right? She's the only one in the normal pool, which means she is the only one of this voting gauntlet that will be available for things like skills banners. And again, she has a plethora of skills that would fit into one of those definitions in the future. So there will be chances for Abel Garden. All right, this isn't like one of those things where, oh, well, I'll never get her again. It's not. And I'm not here to tell you how to spend your vote, but if you're voting for Abel Garden for this particular game mode event thing, doing it wrong. you're just kind of doing it wrong, and I'm sorry to be so blunt about that. But Abel Garden is not, for this to be happening, is not the right choice that you should be making. There will be other attempts, but if if you are diehard and you really want her for some reason, that's what you're looking at. Again, it's not a bad kit, but it is a kit that's maybe not going to be as rare as some of the other ones in terms of availability. Kind of. So, for what that's worth. So, to kind of summarize here, I've ranked who I think I'm going to be prioritizing for the most part. So, kind of tied at first for the most part, we have Altena and New Year Alphonse. And then there's kind of a three-way tie for second. So Legendary Alm, Mythic Sothis, and Winter Sothis, all pretty good. You can't really go wrong with them necessarily. They're kind of beaten out by the more premium availability of New Year Alphonse and Altena. Legendary Leaf comes in at a clean 6 because he may not contend on an inheritance level like those tied for second, but he is definitely better than options like Legendary Asura, who has very little fodder potential, could realistically kind of be replaced by other singer-dancer units, and definitely not Abel Garden, who again has the most likely availability within this pool. And again, I can see her skills kind of becoming seals more sooner rather than later, necessarily. There's no tier 4 skills. It just seems like a safer bet. So that's kind of who I'm leaning towards. And again, because the multipliers will essentially kind of be in effect, you may have to switch teams at some point. I know. And they didn't do a traditional seeding. They did kind of this clockwork thing in order. So first up, if I can bring back the original card here, we're actually going to be having Altena versus Winter Sothis, New Year Alphonse versus Asura, Mythic Sothis versus Alm, and then Legendary Leaf versus Abel Garden. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think had they paired Altena and Abel Garden together, that would have been a much cleaner round 1. But now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure anymore. But either way, that's kind of where my head's at in terms of who I think I'm going to be going for. I hope you found this helpful. In the comments, let me know who you are going to be voting for this voting gauntlet and who you hope wins. I will say this as a cheeky reminder, be nice to the Abel Garden fans. I'm not here to spread hate. I just do not think it is the most intelligent decision for this particular game thing to do. So just keep that in mind. For the sake of everyone, keep that in mind. But that's it for me right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope this helps maybe a little bit. I could have gone into a deeper dive, but this is already like a 20-minute plus video, and I don't want to do that to y'all. So there you go. thank you again for watching, and I will catch you next time.